joining us on Facebook Live. We're here at our final Lunch.Learn.Lead of the year with our dear friends at Texas Bank and Trust. Going to give us an amazing presentation. So important. I'm also going to send a follow-up email to everyone after this is over. It's basically kind of like a survey to see what topics y'all would like to talk about here about next year. So be on the lookout for that. We appreciate y'all being here. Here we go. Woo! This was such a fun event. Tyler Indoor Pickleball. We had over 30 teams there. It was just an amazing time was had. So much fun. Our first time to do this event, and looking forward to next year already. So that was sold out. Huge thanks to our sponsors, our VIPs, as well as Tyler Indoor Pickleball. We had an absolute blast, y'all. I'm super excited about next year. So these are just kind of a little blurry. Sorry about that. These are just some upcoming things that we have coming on. Ms. Shawana does such a great job with the student video contest. It will be aired along with the Awards for Excellence that's coming up. We're looking around February 15th. We don't have an exact date set yet, but it's aired on KLTV twice. So lots and lots of people see this. So if you all are interested, and actually Texas Bank and Trust is one of our sponsors for this as well every year, so thank y'all again for that. So if you're interested, let me know. We got all the different sponsorship levels that can match any of your marketing needs whatsoever. So here we go. Let me hurry up and read some bios. I'm going to make it quick. I apologize. I have to print them out like this. So sorry. Okay, first and foremost, Miss Janet Sledge has been in the banking industry for over 35 years. She's been with Texas Bank and Trust for the past 22 years as Senior VP in the Risk Management Fraud Department. Wow. She oversees 5 fraud analysts and works closely with the Chief Risk Officer. Mrs. Sledge volunteers for various organizations in the community, including Butler Children and Family Services and Hardison's Women's Ministry. I love that. She has been a member of Financial Women in Texas, FWIT, for 14 years, serving as Vice President, and is currently the membership chairman. She and her family attend Woodland Hills Baptist Church in Longview. I love that. I love that jacket. All right. So next, I apologize, I've got these in order here. Mr. Cameron Robb, who is the Business Development Officer with Texas Bank and Trust. 12 years in banking, that's absolutely awesome. Finance with 4.5 of those at Texas Bank and Trust. I love it. He has extensive experience in branch banking, business services, the treasury side, and relationship development, which, as we know, is so very important. He has a passion for helping businesses thrive by finding efficiency in current operations, protecting against fraud, and identifying cost savings on services. He moonlights in his off hours as a farmer with 75 chickens, 2 cows, a horse, and 3 kiddos. Wow, I love it. That's literally a farm in itself. Yes. All held together by his loving wife of 10 years next month. Oh my gosh, that is so awesome. And last but certainly not least, Mr. Alex Myers. That's my maiden name, just FYI. Yes, maybe related. Mr. Alex Myers has 13 years of banking experience and 4 years at Texas Bank and Trust. Most of his career has been spent in the commercial digital banking space, working for community and regional banks. Love it. He leverages his experience to help business customers adopt the latest banking technologies and protect themselves from the ever-evolving threat of fraud. Good job. Thank y'all again for being here. Come on up. Let's rock and roll. We're ready to go. And this is ready. You just back and forth right there. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for having us, and thank you to Abigail and for Jason for putting this event on. The bank loves to do several fraud-inspired events a year because, like I said, the fraud landscape is ever-changing. Threats are always evolving. We see new stuff almost every single day, so it's really important to stay on top of it. I know we've got some IT folks in the room. If you guys run your own business and you don't have a good IT relationship, I really strongly encourage you to look into a local company that can help you guys because they can prevent so much fraud and just kind of shore up any of your infrastructure risks that may be available. Because we just, our lay people don't really know what we don't know, and we we don't know what's out there. So it's really, really important you guys have a good IT relationship. Okay. Like I mentioned, I'm Alex Myers. I'm the manager of our Treasury Services Department at the bank. I've been with TB&T for about 4.5 years, it'll be 5 years in May. 13 years in the banking industry. Most of that time spent working on the digital banking team, specifically the commercial side of digital banking, so I've seen it change quite a bit just in those 13 years. I remember when we had to install digital banking on the CD drive for customers and all kinds of crazy stuff, and now it's almost all digital. Nobody wants anything physical. So what kind of fraud are we seeing? We kind of broke down to the most common types of fraud that we're seeing every single day. You will recognize that a big one is left out here, which is check fraud. There's not a lot to show you for check fraud. Cameron's going to talk a little bit about kind of what you can do to protect yourself from check fraud, as well as some of the hidden costs associated with check fraud. But I will tell you one thing, that even though the number of checks that are being written are going down, the amount of check fraud is still going up, which means that if you are writing checks as a business owner, it is not when or if you will be compromised, it's when you're going to be compromised and how much they're going to hit you for. So Cameron's going to talk more about that. I'm not stealing this thunder, but if you are writing checks, please talk to Cameron. He really specializes in helping people update their practices and kind of get them off some of those more antiquated systems and protect their business. So we're going to talk through phishing, business email compromise, account takeover, and ransomware today. I think phishing is the first one we're going to go over. Most of the fraud that we see actually kicks off with some form of phishing, which is essentially just fraudsters trying to get you to reveal some piece of personal information that they can use against you. That can be passwords, usernames, credit card information, any personal data. We see social security numbers, and they use that information for a variety of things. So we're talking about how do they get into your online banking, how do they apply for credit cards as you, how do they open bank accounts as you, how do they steal your identity. They can use it for any number of things, so making sure that you keep your personal information locked down, and you're very, very cautious about clicking on links or opening email attachments are the biggest things. I mean, if you take one thing away from this seminar today, do not click on any link or open any attachment that is sent to you that you were not expecting. My wife gets mad at me because she'll send me a link to something and I'll call her like, hey, did you send me this link? And you think I'm joking, but I'm not. She's like, stop calling me about this, just do not. But we see so much fraud every single day, and it happens really, really quickly. So I wanted to kind of focus on that text message phishing because we're seeing so much of that. I mean, we get it through every method, right? We get emails that are looking for our personal info. We get messages on social media, phone calls, people pretending to be a bank or pretending to be any other kind of trustworthy source. But texting is a really, really big one right now. So I just want to take a quick second and look at what phishing looks like. So we all kind of expect it to look something like this, with some huge long link that we don't really understand, some crazy characters. I think this is actually a valid text message. It's just an Instagram thing that I don't use Instagram anymore. But we're kind of expecting it to look crazy, like, oh, obviously I'm not going to click on that. But that's not what it looks like anymore. This second message right here is actually a real phishing text that one of our customers received. They got a phone call from somebody who was pretending to be the bank. The number showed up on their phone as Texas Bank and Trust. Said, hey, I have to verify a transaction. It's supposed to be your account as you try to send a $25,000 wire. Customer's like, no, I didn't. Okay, well, let me just verify it real quick. I'm going to send you a link. Send in this link. Clicked on it, routes them to a site that looks exactly like Texas Bank and Trust. Put in his login ID and password, and it actually redirects them to the bank's site and attempts to log in there. But now the fraudster has got his username and his password. And this one was really scary because we've seen a couple of these in October where when they click the link, it actually installs malware on their device. And the fraudster had their cell phone number compromised. So they attempted to send transactions out. We'll talk a little more about this later. But they attempted to send transactions out, and when we did the callback verification for that, the fraudster picked up the phone and answered it instead of the customer. So really scary stuff. You click on these links. But it's very difficult for people to say, it looks like it's Texas Bank and Trust. When the phone rang, it said Texas Bank and Trust. You just have to be very, very cautious and know that it's always okay to say, hey, I'm going to call you back, and hang up the phone and then call the bank number that you know is the bank's phone number, and And if one person can help you, somebody else can help you there too. We listen to a lot of those fraud calls, and when customers do that, the person gets upset and hangs up the phone right away because they know they can't get them. So really important stuff. And I think we've all gotten messages like this last one, that apparently I had a DMV final notice violation, I'm not going to go to jail. I can pay thousands of dollars for fees. Not real. We've all had packages that are held up at the UPS store, the FedEx store.
They need to get more original. They're running out.
They need to. Always be careful what you ask for.
Yeah.
We like it when it's easy to predict, and like, I've seen this before.
Yes.
15 of these in my inbox. So this is just kind of a quick little view of what text phishing looks like. It's not always super obvious. It can be very confusing, hard to recognize. One thing that we do see is when fraudsters are calling our customers and talking to them on the phone, and the customer thinks they're talking to Texas Bank and Trust, they're almost always going to try to send you some kind of access code because they're trying to get logged into your system, or they're trying to send a transaction if they're already logged in. We put a lot of text with our secure access codes. We probably all have some companies that we work with that when they send us those codes, it's just a 6-digit number. We use these codes for multiple things, so we thought it was important that we include some text with them so you know what it's for. So this first one here is a kind of identity verification code. And you can see it says share this code with your representative to complete the verification. Our team sent that text out, and then you could read that back to them. This other code was from a transaction being initiated. And it says that we will never ask you for this code. It's really important that if you're on the phone with somebody that is the bank, or you think it's the bank, that you're reading all that text in there. Because we see so many times that they just give that code right away, and it's a transaction code and not a identity verification code. And also, if they're calling you and you're not expecting it, kind of exercise some extra caution there, because that's when they get you. And you're thinking that it's the bank, but it's really not. So pay attention to what it says in there. It's really important. We didn't talk about this. If you guys have questions during the presentation, I think there's few enough people in here that you can just raise your hand, and I'm happy to kind of discuss as things come up. I'll try to keep us on track with time, but please let me know if you guys have any questions. Business email compromise is definitely the fastest growing type of fraud. It's also the highest dollar loss per incident of fraud that we're seeing. And we're seeing hundreds of thousands of dollars being lost at a time. And we're seeing that happen almost every single day, where customers are at least trying, or customers are being compromised and are trying to send out these transactions. And I'll tell you from the bank's perspective, one of the hardest things about business email compromise is our customers think that these transactions are valid. And so now we're trying to convince them, hey, this might be fraud. And especially we have a lot of real estate companies that we do business with, and we know those real estate transactions have to be timely. So customers are kind of in a rush to get those things processed, and so sometimes we have to slow down that and say, okay, how do we verify all this information? So business email compromise, if you're not familiar, it's really just somewhere in the kind of string of a transaction, someone's email got compromised. So either their email is hacked, and now somebody is sending and receiving emails as them, or someone's just sitting in there watching emails go back and forth and trying to pick where their opportunity is going to be. So business email compromise is when, at some point during that transaction, someone's sending updated payment information to the originator of the payment to get them to send money to them instead of the intended recipient. And this does happen every single day. So if you are someone that initiates wires and ACH transactions, it's really important that you call back. Anytime you receive payment information, do a callback on a trusted number. Do not call back on the number that's on the invoice that you receive, because if that was fake, you can bet that they changed the phone number that's on there. And we do see that happen all the time, where customers are like, I did call when I verified and I talked to somebody, and they called the number on the invoice, and that just took them straight to the fraudster. Fraudster was like, oh yeah, that's good, go ahead and send it. So be sure you're calling back on trusted phone numbers. Most important thing. I've seen some crazy stuff with this email compromise, where we had a customer in DFW that lost $650,000 in an instant, right? And what happened was it got flagged in our system. We called them to verify, because our system recognized it as potentially fraudulent. They said, no, I called, talked to them, it was all good. They called the number on the invoice, thought it was good. Janet helped us get some of that money back to that customer, but we caught it less than 24 hours later. That money was at 2 separate banks, 12 separate accounts, including 2 different crypto wallets. So they know what to do. They will move that money as fast as possible once it hits that other bank. And it's really, really, really important that, one, you're calling to verify your personal phone number, and 2, if you think that you may have been compromised, call the bank as quickly as possible. Jan's going to talk more about that stuff too. But we see not only is it external numbers, but our external emails, but we see a lot of internal executive emails get compromised, and then they're emailing their team saying, hey, send this flyer, it has to go out right now, don't call me in meetings all day. And a lot of people are thinking, oh, it's internal, so it's fine, but that compromise can happen anywhere in that chain. So please be sure that if you guys own your own business, you are empowering your team to question those payments, because you have to assume that once it goes out, it's not coming back.
Wow.
Any questions on business email compromise? Okay. Account takeover. So account takeover is exactly what it sounds like. Somebody is coming in, logging into your account as you, and then doing whatever they need to do. There is a lot of tools that the bank has, and most digital banking platforms have in place to stop unauthorized people from accessing your account. But like we saw on that text message, if they click it and they can get access to your phone, they're going to get around all your multi-factor authentication, which is that. Yeah.
So this is great. Part of what you're providing. How does AI go into this specifically? I know there's some new trends that are specific on login credentials, and I know in my space how to mitigate that, but as far as what would your advice be as far as AI? Because a lot of that information is being put into AI, and there's bad actors that can actually go in to monitor that. So are y'all seeing that in that trend right now?
We are starting to see more and more AI. I think what we're seeing more of is people using AI in phishing efforts to just multiply their requests. We see a lot of AI in ransomware, we're going to talk about next too, is how can I scale my fraud operation so I can better get hooks into people, right? So we're seeing a lot of AI being used in that regard, where they can just filter all their information through AI and then send much more compelling fraudulent messages to people. People can click on stuff, or be like, hey, this person's interested in this, these things, how do I get them to actually follow through with them? That's what we're seeing more of in this. There is a lot of AI going into the security development piece as well. And so we're seeing lots and lots of new kind of fintech or fintech adjacent companies come in that are doing AI-based monitoring softwares. So it's important that you do talk to your bank about what they've got going on there. But most digital banking providers are integrating that kind of AI machine learning style into identifying what is my customer's normal behavior. And I've seen stuff go as far as analyzing how they put in passwords and stuff if they're using your phone, monitoring what that screen swipe looks like.
And it's pretty telling that people put in their own account information into ChatGPT, and people they think they can trust it because they don't realize it's a shared global directory, and that all your information you put into ChatGPT can be taken free. It's open source at that point. So I would encourage everybody, do not put anything personal or pictures of yourself,
Right.
because it's not just banking, right?
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's a great call out. It's a good reminder for everybody too. Now more than ever, be more careful about what we put online. I mean, I have an 18-month-old daughter, and we're like, don't post any pictures of her online because we don't have to deal with all that stuff. Or it's scary what's happening and how fast things are happening. And the fact that once you put something online, you're never going to get that back. It's always going to exist somewhere out there. And it may be hard for a person to find it, but it's going to be easy for AI to find it over the internet. So account takeover, really if you are not clicking on links, not opening attachments, not putting your personal stuff online, it really, really reduces the risk of this happening. Also, using different login IDs and passwords for everything. We're probably all guilty of using the same login and password for things. There are a lot of tools out there now to help you create custom passwords, pass keys, pass phrases, because it does get to be so hard to remember everything you have. I'm sure we all have got 15 logins. Personally, we probably have double that professionally that we have to log into and access. And those are always changing all the time, right? I think we're going to see more and more sites require frequent password resets just as a security measure. So looking into some technology to help you guys manage those passwords could be really good use of your time. and really help secure your business account that go fraud. Ransomware. So, does anyone not know what ransomware is?
Could you?
Yeah. So ransomware is like a malicious software that's been installed on your computer, and essentially is going to lock you out of or encrypt all of your data until a key is entered. So essentially, they'll compromise your device, get in there, you'll be locked out of everything that you need to run your business until you pay them a ransom, and then they will, in theory, provide you the code and unlock all of your stuff. Now, there's no requirement for them to do that. You know, you're kind of trusting the criminal that just broke into your system to give you all your stuff back. You're also trusting they did not export all of your stuff out of there. Ransomware sounds like, oh, it's going to be targeted towards big businesses, and they're not going to come after me. But because of AI and because of how much they can actually message to every single person who's internet or who's like email and phone number they can find online, we're seeing this much, much more with small businesses. I've had 2 customers in the last 12 months that have been affected by ransomware in East Texas.
Wow.
And we've been talking about it for years, and I was always like, well, it's good to know, good to educate people on what's going on, but I had never seen it before. And thankfully, the 2 people that we had that were compromised had taken the precautions in place. They had a good IT team. They had off-site storage for all their backups, so they were able to get back up and running within a couple of days. But I think the average downtime for someone that's impacted by ransomware is about 21 days. And so, who knows what your operation looks like after those 21 days? If you paid the ransom, did you get everything back? Did you not get anything back? Did it clear everything out? Was all your proprietary data shipped overseas and sold? You just don't know. But once again, if you're not clicking on links, if you're not opening attachments, it's much, much harder for you to get into your system. If you've got good IT help to help you find those weaknesses in your infrastructure, it's hugely, hugely helpful. I always think about, when I explain to ransomware, people have never heard about it, in the first Jurassic Park, I don't know what his name is in the movie, but Newman, when he locks everybody out of their system, so he can get all the DNA out, that's kind of what ransomware is.
It actually happened to us.
Oh, did it?
Yeah. One of my bosses is older, and he got an email, and he opened it, and this big red screen come up and told him blah, 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 and it started a countdown clock.
Like
And
it's
he
thinking
thought-
explode or what?
Well, he just turned the monitor off because he didn't know what to do, he was embarrassed, and he left. And this happened over the Christmas holiday.
Oh, God.
So, I'm a bookkeeper, so I come in the day after Christmas when nobody's there, so I can do stuff. And I couldn't do anything because my screen looked like gobbledygook.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is this? And I called my IT guy. It had gone so far, it went into our server. Let me tell you, it was a nightmare. We had to actually pay the ransom. And by the way, they're real sophisticated with that too. You know, it's like, you got Bitcoin, that's what they want to know. We went to Walmart and got a Visa card, and it was nominal for us on the expense. But what was not nominal was our IT man, who then had to come in over the holiday, and there were all kinds of Trojans and things that were part of that. And here I am at the end of the year thinking, let me tell you, it's like burnt the blue wire out of the wall, you know? Turn it off, do anything, tell somebody, don't just walk off and turn off your monitor.
Yeah. Because it's trying to spread all the time. It's trying to get into as
And
much stuff as it
it
can.
did. It took over 10 days to get
Yeah.
our system back up and operational.
Oh, my gosh.
And this happened a few years back, but I'm gonna tell y'all, it's a nightmare.
Yeah. It really is. All this fraud, there are tools that can protect you guys from it. And some of that stuff is a little bit more expensive than maybe you would want to pay, but I promise you that it's less expensive than having to deal with the aftermath of having this kind of fraud. So how to protect yourself from ransomware? Regular, keep your software updated. That is a huge, huge thing you can do. We recently had a couple customers that were a little bit upset because their remote deposit capture desktop scanners were not going to work on Windows 10 anymore. And the Windows 11 upgrade is free, but all the technology companies, especially Apple and Microsoft, can't keep updating every version of their software with the latest security updates. The softwares aren't designed to handle the modern stuff, and that's just a lot of work on trying to get that stuff updated. So making sure that you're keeping your software updated is very, very important. Making sure that you back up your data, preferably off-site or mutable storage, because what's going to happen is when that ransomware infects your computer, the first thing it's going to look for is where all your backups are. Because if it can compromise your backups, now you have no choice but to either pay the ransom or you're going to lose all of your data, right? And nobody wants to start over from scratch.
Nightmare.
Right. So off-site data is just where it's not connected to the internet at all. You connect it when you do your backup, and then you disconnect it again. So there's no way for that ransomware device to get into your data. Because emails and links, and then use multi-factor authentication. I always think of MFA as little checkpoints, right? You want to create as many little checkpoints in your processes as you can. So if someone were to get access, you limit how far they can get before they get hit with another code. Maybe they have the answer to that one, but if they go a bit further and they hit a different one, now you're really protected that way too. So just think about all those things. They can be inconvenient in your day-to-day processing, because you may hear like, why did I do this to myself? I gotta stop and get 3 different codes when I'm trying to initiate a transaction. But if it stops someone from sending out $600,000 out of your account, it's gonna feel pretty good. You're like, okay, I can put it in a text message here. Any ransomware questions?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
You can buy ransomware packages on the dark web. So I don't have to know how to code Trojan. I don't have to code any of that stuff. I can just go buy something from the dark web, send you an email with that thing embedded in a link, embedded in an attachment. And now, you guys, that's why we're seeing so much more of it. It's very, very easy to access now. Okay, so what can you do to prevent fraud? There's no substitute for good internal controls, identifying your weak links in your employees and your systems. If you have people that work for you, they are the ones the fraudsters are going to be targeting, because they care, this sounds bad, but they care less about the business than you do as the owner. And so you need to always be coaching them and reminding them how important it is to be cautious with what they're clicking on, what they're opening, what they're accessing on their work computer, because of what it has access to in your systems. You want to empower them to verify stuff. I mean, pick up the phone, call somebody. We live in an age where we're trying to remove the people out of everything, and that's where we're getting more and more fraud. Make sure that your people are, okay, I can take a second and call this person and verify. I can call you, the owner of the business, and verify this stuff. And I know that I'll be, that's what I'm supposed to do. If I don't do it and something's lost, that's going to come back onto me. And if you're suspicious of something, call the bank. We'd love to talk to you about it. We'd love to help you evaluate what's going on. If you get a call from the bank that you're not expecting, just say, hey, can I call you back? Hang up the phone, call, go to our website, pull the number off there if you don't have it saved in your phone, and call us from there, because we can tell you for sure what's going on that way. And it really protects yourself. I think that's my last slide. Any questions for me?
No, just one thing that keeps coming back up. If you were top 3 of the defenses, for a quick takeaway for me is one more. I think of other things in the bank too, but calling back.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like that mitigates so many, vendor changes or payment option, whatever. Just calling back to the number that you know, obviously not the invoice, but making that follow back phone call.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Engage with the person that you know.
Yeah.
They should not be upset for you calling them. You should not be upset if somebody calls you to verify stuff.
Right.
Please don't get upset at our team if we call you to verify the
Right.
transaction. I promise we do not want you guys to lose any money, but we're just trying to protect you from fraud as best we can.
Is the party responsible for any of this ever held accountable, and if so, how? I mean, I know that's a weird question, but I mean, do they ever drill down and say, hey, how
Very
is
hard, very hard.
It's hard to find these people. I think Janet will maybe talk a little bit more about it from her perspective, but I know that from the customer side, we're saying, hey, file a police report. Sometimes service gets involved, sometimes the FBI gets involved, depending on what type of fraud it is. But it's very, very hard to catch people because they're using dummy accounts at other banks. It's very, very hard. And you have to think that there's thousands of these requests coming in every single day. And so it's just, you get lost in the kind of money mire, and it's very, very difficult to track So I think they are trying to find people. I think really a lot of it is rings, and they're trying to get through these rings and kind of build that behind it, but it's very tough. Okay. Just Janet next.
Woo! That was so amazing.
Just a little bit.
Our phones are listening to this.
Yeah.
Just take my picture.
I thought you need to say something. No. Okay, so I'm Janet Sledge, like they said. Said that's who I am, right? Been working with the bank for a long time in the fraud department. I started in the operations department. We didn't have a fraud department. And it has grown exponentially since that time. Not just because of me, but I'm going to talk a little bit about scams. Now what? You've been hacked, you've been scammed, somebody's got your stuff, what do you do now? Fraud has grown exponentially over the last few years, and big losses for customers and businesses alike. So that just means now you really have to monitor your accounts. You've got to do everything you can to monitor your accounts, because you know what needs to come out of your account. We don't necessarily know. You can look at some different things, but you know what you want paid, and you know what shouldn't be paid out of your account. So monitoring your accounts daily is best. Probably 2 or 3 times is a whole lot better. I know I monitor my own personal accounts 2 or 3 times a day, just because there's so many things that are processed during the day. They come in during the day, they come in at the end of the day, and the faster we can get to it, the better recovery chances we have. And that's what we want, is to try to get that done. With checks, we process checks overnight, so we see them once a day in the mornings. Wires, they're all day. ACHs are all day. So you really want to be looking at your accounts all the time, all day, to be seeing what you can find out. So let's talk a little bit about steps you should take if you believe you were scammed. And you don't have to know for sure, but if you have a suspicion, you need to act quickly. You need to gather all the information that you can on that particular transaction that you're looking at. If you're looking at a wire that you just sent to a vendor, and the vendor calls and says, hey, I thought you were sending that wire, I didn't get it. You start finding all the information you can on that. How you got the information, where you got it, and get that as fast as you can, and call your bank immediately. Get on the phone with them and tell them, I think I've got a fraudulent situation. And we're going to get into doing our processes to try to get this recovered as quickly as we can, because after a certain point, it's gone. You can't get it back, most of the time. Stop all communications with scammers. If you have been working on an email and they're sending you new instructions of how to pay a wire, how to send a wire, where to send it, they've changed the account number, they've changed the bank that they're sending it to, and you get suspicious and you think you're being scammed, stop all communication with them. Just don't even talk to them any longer. Talk to somebody that you know. You know, we all try to take people out of it, right? Like Alex was saying, everybody wants just the digital stuff. We want to just see it online. If there is nothing better than talking to a person. Talk to somebody that you know, at a phone number that you know, or go to your local branch. But talk to somebody, get that done. Change your passwords fast as you can. If you think your computer's been hacked, you want to get those passwords changed on your online banking, on your just accessing your computer. You want to get those passwords changed, because they may already have them. The faster you can change, the faster you can get them out of it. So, Alex was talking a little bit about filing a police report. The police department's not real keen on always wanting to file a police report on every little transaction that they have, but you do want to do that, and you also want to file a secret service with the local secret service. And the reason I want to tell you about that is because, main reason we want you to do that is because they may be working on a bigger investigation. And that compromise that Alex was talking about recently, the Secret Service, because we told our customer, follow with the Secret Service, give them all this information. They were actually working on a big ring, and they tied that one to the other ones because of the similarities. They went across state lines because they were working with other
it was in other banks, different banks. They were able to get back about 70% of the money on that particular transaction, and that was huge. But that was because they had filed the proper reports. They had given those information to them so that they can tie those things together. We work very closely with the local Secret Service office here in Tyler. Brushley and Kenneth Hughes is one of their bureau guys. They will work with us on everything. They call us about other things that they have in other banks to see if we've seen any of this stuff. So they are actively working these cases and trying to get this stuff stopped for anybody and everybody that they can. It affects them as well as everybody. So you want to file those reports. You can file a report with the Federal Trade Commission. They have a big department that handles fraud. And right now, they're not responding. Hopefully in the next couple of days, they will get back to where they can work. There is a little bit of a glitch in there that they can't respond. They say, I had emailed them for some information the other day, and they said that that was not being monitored, but since the government was back in business, they'll be monitoring stuff. But they do have a lot of good information. If you feel like you've been scammed personally or with your business, go look on there and find out some information. But, and that's online. It's best to talk to them if you can. But you want to file those reports, and you want to file them as fast as you can. Okay, so let's talk about a little bit about what the bank can do. A lot of people think that the bank has access to anything and everything. We don't. And we don't give access to other banks about our customers and our information. It's confidential. Y'all trust us to keep it confidential, and we do, as do other banks. But the things that we can do, if you call us and tell us, hey, I've been scammed, I've got some fraudulent information on my account, first thing we're going to do is add an alert to your account. Now, nobody else outside of the bank sees that that's an alert on that account. It's internally, it's for the bank only. And anybody that accesses that account, our loan officers, loan administration people, the tellers, anybody else, they're going to get that alert and go, oh, something's happening on ABC account. Not sure what it is, looks like they've been compromised. So they're going to go just a little bit slower because you've called us immediately, given us this information. The fraudsters are working just as fast out there because they know the faster they work, faster they need that money. So we have that alert to the affected accounts. If it's your personal information that's been compromised, we're going to put it where it's going to hit all of your accounts so that we know that something's going on with you. Our people are going to question you a little bit harder. They may call you. They are encouraged to make phone calls. If they have a check that they're suspicious about, we call that customer and ask them. So, hey, did you write this check? Did you issue this check? We're doing that because we suspect something's not right about it. And we want y'all to tell us, yes, I wrote that check. Yes, it's okay to pay it. If not, we're immediately going to go into our process and get that alert on that account and start doing those things. If you call us and tell us, there's a check on my account today that I didn't write. It's not, I don't know where it is, it's not my check, I didn't write it. We are going to work to get that check returned. Now, the problem with that is, we only have 24 hours to return a check. I still work in the check world. I work with returning checks, and we do process way too many kinds of checks. There's a lot out there every single day. So we will work to return those fraudulent items, ACHs, checks. We only have 24 hours to return those items. Now, we can return them after the 24 hours, but the bank where we're returning it can reject it and say that's a late return. You should have got it when it hit that day. And when we return it past our 24 hours, we have to send it with a bank-to-bank claim, which you have to fill out all of the little forms, all the different stuff, and send it to them and hope there might be some money at that other bank and that they will give it back to us. But they're not obligated to do that. We're going to contact the receiving bank. If you send out a wire, paying an invoice, and they call and say, hey, I never got this wire, you were supposed to be paying this, how come I didn't get it? We're going to contact that bank immediately that got the wire. We're going to say, hey, just let you know, we're going to send you a message to try to get this wire back because it's fraud. A lot of times, the other bank, they're not going to tell us anything. They're not gonna tell us if they've got a suspicion that it is fraudulent. They're not gonna tell us, hey, we still got the money. They're not gonna do any of that for us. They're gonna say, thank you, we'll put an alert on here and we'll be watching it. Send us the whole harmless agreement, send us the required paperwork, and we might be able to get some money back for you. But they are not required to do that. If you send a wire and you tell them it's fraudulent, they're not required to send it back. Once it's gone, it's gone. And the thing about that is the fraudsters know that. These fraudsters know our banking policies and our procedures and how we do things. I don't know how they know it, but they know it. I always have suspicion of how they know it, but I'm not even gonna say it. But, because I can't ever figure out, they stay one step ahead of us all the time. We're always trying to figure out how they know this. But they know when that wire gets to them, that they're gonna get that money out as fast as they can. Gonna move it around to different accounts, like we're talking about the other one, gonna get it out of here and put it over here, because they know that we're gonna catch on here just in a little bit. And they know that if they get that money out, that they don't have to repay that. So it's gone when that wire goes. ACH is basically the same thing. Returning an ACH item, for businesses, we only have 24 hours. Consumers, a consumer in an individual account, you have up to 60 days to claim a fraudulent ACH. I don't know why. We can't have more time on a business account, but we can't. That's why I'm saying you've got to monitor your account every day, all day, to make sure what's coming through there. We do have monitoring software. My department, we have a software that analyzes all items that go through the bank. They analyze ACHs, they analyze wires, they analyze checks, deposits, everything that goes through the bank. And we have parameters set up that if it hits that parameter, it's going to kick that out and say, hey, this is saying that there might be something wrong. Let's say you have a wire that's going out that you've sent the wire out before to this vendor, but all of a sudden you change the account number and the routing number that it was going to. That's going to kick out on our system. And we have to go work that alert. We have to call you, which is what we're going to do. We're going to call. We're not going to send you an email. We're going to call you and say, hey, this is saying that this is a different account. How did you verify that? Where did you get that information? If you tell us that you got it on an email, we're going to say, you're confident with that email. Are you sure that this is what you want to do? Are you sure you want to send that? Once it's gone, it's gone. But the monitoring software, I have five fraud analysts that monitor that all day, every day. The check of the ACHs and wires are near real time. So that's all day when they're doing that. Checks only come in once a day. They process it overnight and we see them the next day. So it takes a little bit more to catch those. We do have manual review some accounts. Those accounts I was talking about, we put alerts on. We have a report that says they got to stop payment out here because there's checks coming through. We monitor those. We review them every day manually. It takes a lot. It's very tedious, but we do save a lot doing some of that sometimes. So we do what we can. Our hands are really tied with rules and regulations in the banking world, with what we can and can't do. Just like trying to return an ACH for a business account, you got 24 hours. Past that 24 hours, they're not going to do anything about it. Can't do it. And there's probably not a way to ever change it. I don't know what you'd have to go through. We'd go through IBAT and Texas Bankers Association to get bills done, different kinds of things. But right now, that's what we have. It's 24 hours. That's why it is so important to look at your accounts and to contact us as quickly as you can to try to get that stuff stopped. So, sorry, I went through that pretty quickly. Our risk management department consists of 5 fraud analysts, like I was talking about. We monitor our alerts, red flags. We also have a system where the tellers send us checks that they think might be suspicious, and we place holds on them. And if we place a hold on your check and you call us and say, hey, why don't you put this hold on this check? I need my money. We're going to ask you, okay, where'd you get this check? Sometimes a lot of our customers think we're a little bit nosy. We're not being nosy. We have a suspicion. We have a red flag that says something is not right about this check. Something's not right about this transaction. We want to know how you got the information. Where did you get the check? You had a check sent to you from ABC company in North Carolina. Why did you get that check? We're not asking you because we were being nosy, like I said. It's a red flag when we see those. So they call, they've stayed on the phone quite a bit, unfortunately, trying to get that stuff done. We work closely with Treasury, their fraud system as well. They have a software also, and we work with them. We work with customers all day, every day, because the fraud is so rampant. So you really have to be diligent about looking at your statements, balancing your statements, looking at your account, online banking, seeing what's going through there. Working with Treasury on the same thing, you just got to really be on top of it to stop the ransomware, to stop the, and an IT department, you're talking about having a good IT group, really got to have that because you want to call them and get them working quickly on that. We've had some companies, smaller businesses that have had some situations and they don't know what to do. They don't have an IT department to do that. I'm telling them what I know, but I don't know the IT stuff, and I don't want to know. I never wanted to work in IT. It is scary. There's too much of it out there, and Alex was talking about, he calls his wife, did you send me this? I handle legal proceedings and subpoenas and stuff that come into the bank, and I'll get a lot of those that come in, other banks asking for information on some transactions, and they'll send it to an email with the attachment on there. I call IT and I'm like, hey Travis, can you look at this email and tell me if it's any good? Are you expecting it? Yes, but I'm not going to be the one to click on that link. I have a fear of clicking on a link and getting it infected into my system, even at home. My daughter will send me an email. She lives in another country. She'll send me an email and I'm like, no. I'm not clicking on this link, so I'll text her, hey, did you send that? She's like, yes, Mom, I sent you that. She'll send me things through Messenger. I don't click on those.
Yeah.
I've been working in fraud too long, and I know that it happens to everybody. I had to do a lunch-and-learn last week, and I had to own up to the fact that I was scammed on Instagram, trying to buy a cute pair of jeans that was really cheap. And it did not work. I did not get the right jeans. It was. I said last week, the motto, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. I think that's a little bit outdated. We probably need to change that. If it seems too good to be true, it's a scam.
Yes.
I'm going to coin that phrase because
Yes.
that's what we deal with every single day.
Yes.
It's always, and like I said, I've been doing this for a long time, so when somebody brings something to my desk and says, hey, can you look at that real quick? Tell me if it's a scam or if it's a counterfeit. It's already a scam if I made it my way. Probably y'all see the same thing.
Yeah.
If it got to me, it's a scam. So we're going to have to prove that if you bring it to me, you got to prove to me that it's good.
Yeah.
That's when I tell them when you call the customer's got to prove to you that it's good. We've got a suspicion. We got to say this is okay. This is good. But we also have to go by our guidelines and our procedures to make sure we don't give out any information. I've been known. Probably shouldn't say this is my co-workers in the building here, but bend a little bit of rules when it's fraud, when I know 100% that it's fraud. And the Secret Service will say, now get your subpoena over there as soon as I can. I really need to know this right now. Okay, I didn't say this, but here it is, and hurry up, send me the subpoena. But I want them to work on it quickly. You know, want them to get that information as fast as they can so we can try to do some kind of recovery. That's the one thing you got to do is work quickly. If you've got any suspicion of fraud, work quickly.
Well, that's what's aggravating is, like you said, they're thinking you're being nosy or whatever,
Right.
like consumers, your customers. But yet, if you weren't, and it was the opposite, they would have been upset because you weren't nosy enough. So it's like,
Yeah.
what do you know?
Yeah. And, you know, we do a lot of training with our employees for them to have that training to be able to look at a check and say, this is fraudulent. And we do have a lot of counterfeit checks every day. Our we do a quarterly loss prevention report, and our last quarter, we had over $1.2 million of stuff that we had saved, that we had actually touched, we had actually placed a hold on. That's just our bank in one quarter.
Wow.
It's a lot. Yes, ma'am.
Our firm recently dealt with someone stealing our checking image of our checks. Printed fake ones, horrible fake ones. But the banks evidently didn't notice, as they should have, to me and to our attorneys, who I want to know, our attorneys didn't want to pay for extra protection because they said, we do what we're supposed to do. I think the bank needs to do what they're supposed to do.
Very good comment. Let me see if I can address that where you can
Thank
understand.
you, yes.
Okay. When they take an image of your check,
Mhm.
they get the check number,
Yes.
that it's in there, they know that, they've got your signature, they can scan that in.
Mhm.
They can almost get those checks perfectly,
Almost, yeah.
almost. There's one little bit that it won't get. We have the fraud monitoring software that we have does look for counterfeit checks that have been counterfeited, but it can't catch all of them. And the reason for that, we don't see all of the checks that come in. I've been banking for a long time, and back a long time ago, we used to look at all the checks that came in to pay, especially if they were over a certain amount. We actually hand looked at those checks. Not anymore, there's too many out there. Images come through, we get a lot of false positives. If it gets caught, we can work on it at that point and we can say, we've got fraudulent checks coming in. That's why it's so important to have, and Rob Cameron's going to give us some more pointers on how we can look at some of that stuff. There's just so much that we can do. And I know that's a cop out almost. I know you can't say that, but there's tons of it out there. The fraudsters are really, really good at their job. That's the fraudsters. That's what their job is. That's what they do, is figure out how to counterfeit those checks. If they do one, your checks run, let's say you're looking at a history on the account. You're looking at let's say you're looking at my account. I go to Albertsons, I go to Juicy's, I go to Sefco, I go to, the mall. All of a sudden, there's a $10,000 check in there that I deposited. And we're not trying to be nosy, but hey, Janet, where'd you get this $10,000 check? Why is it on there? There's gonna be some little anomaly out there, unless they've really done a good job of counterfeiting those checks. And most of the time, we can see it because the back of it will be different, the back of the check, but it's gotta be able to kick out on those software programs for us to be able to find it, to see it. It's gotta have something different, just a little bit different.
Okay, I have 2 questions. First of all, what is the best way to convey money, the most economical way? Because wires cost money, I don't know, ACHs, certain banks charge certain fees, and then, we have checks. And then what type of checks can we order to best protect ourselves from those checks being reproduced or washed?
Definitely ACH is probably going to be your most cost-effective option when you're talking about transmitting payments, even collecting payments. We have realty companies that collect rent via ACH versus accepting a check, because all too often those checks can be fraud.
Right.
As far as the fees go, very, very nominal. Generally, in regard, and I can't speak for every bank, but for our bank, you're looking at 10 cents per item. When you're looking at that, that's cheaper than a postage stamp to send a payment at that point. So in regards to cost, that's going to be your best method. As far as what checks you can order that are going to prevent fraud,
Cam, is it an average cost of a check, like in the universe, is how much?
about $6.
To compare that
For a paper check, to issue a paper check, you're looking at about $6. Now you might think, oh, I get a whole box for $125. Well, that takes in labor and some other things into that as well. As far as those checks that you can order, some of the checks out there have security features on there where they can't be scanned. Some of them offer dual signature lines. I'm gonna tell you right now, banks don't really look at the dual signature lines. And to that point, they're not making a photocopy of those checks anymore. They can take a picture with their cell phone. So that little security feature on there, unfortunately, is kind of a moot point at this time. So as technology advances and helps us, it can also make it easier for those fraudsters to commit that fraud. So those electronic payment methods, ACH, is a great method. If you're still concerned about fraud at that point, we can build in things like dual control, where you have one person who initiates and another person who approves that transaction before it's going out. So just kind of layering security on top of itself from there.
Very interesting.
IT companies, we like the ACH, that's what we recommend, that's what we use for our companies usually. So we like to tell our customers, less checks the better. Anything paper is compromisable, but yeah, ACHs are probably a little bit more safe to control the disconnect between your bank and technology, right? That's the biggest point, because if they have one little bitty piece of access, that's all they need. It's just, and they'll get everything. So yeah, ACH is kind of preferred.
We do the same. That's what we do monitor ACHs. Our software program monitors ACHs. They don't get held like a check does. The check, we can put a hold on check for our regulation of what we can put holds on, what we can't, unfortunately. So we have to be able to verify those ACHs that come into your account as a credit, and some of them that go out. We're going to be looking at those as well. That's probably the safest that you can go with.
That's a question for you about that. I was thinking, because I had a situation where I was trying to set up an ACH payment, and the app that I was given was very well-known Zillow. Instead of me just logging into my Zillow account, it redirected, it wanted me to give my username to my bank and my user password on the Zillow app. And so I just X'd out and took a check.
Yeah.
And then I got more checks, but I'm thinking, I'm gonna log in the username and my password into my Zillow.
Third party.
Yeah.
What are y'all's thoughts on that?
It's not uncommon for websites like that you're doing payments on to link using an aggregator tool like Plaid or Yodel is a big one too, and they essentially are going to log into your digital banking to verify the account information that you're sending. Now, if it's something like I like that you're being cautious and not just putting all your stuff in there. A lot of times those are valid, but there's usually other ways to get around it besides
Well,
doing that.
usually in the past, with different types of situations, you could manually enter. So you manually enter your routing number, your checking account. And no problem with that, but when they're asking for your business login.
Right.
Right. And that's how Plaid does. It asks you, I was trying to pay for something, it asked me to log into Plaid, which was taking me to my online banking. And I said, no, please. Yeah, I just took it off. If anything it throws that little flag out there, anything suspicious like that, just stop.
Ask your IT professional.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why they're grumpy old people usually. But they'd rather have that than be awakened from those grumpy old closets. Ask those little simple questions, for sure.
Those aggregator tools are usually very convenient, but they do have your login credentials. And it's usually tokenized, it's usually secure, but I think you should always express some caution whenever anyone asks you for your digital banking.
Look for another round.
Yeah, a lot of times they do a backup for you to do micro deposits and put a deposit there. But they're making that less and less available and wanting you to rapidly easy quick option.
So the only advice I can really give you is to be diligent with your money. It's your money, don't let anybody else have it that doesn't need it, that shouldn't have it. Easier said than done, I know, unfortunately.
And monitor your account.
Monitor your account, be diligent with that, look at that, make sure what you want to come through there is what's coming through there. And call us. Don't listen to an email, don't get to a text message, don't respond to that, call. But that, one of my front analysts said, I think we've turned into a call center over here. Department. I was like, yes, because there's nothing better than talking to an actual person. All right?
Yeah, regretfully, we're almost out of time.
Yes.
So,
No, we're good. We're good going on here.
No, it's so informative,
It's
so
so
important. We so appreciate
I
it.
can speed through it, don't
It's good.
worry. You see me, so we're almost done. So a big part of what I do with Texas Bank and Trust is that treasury management suite of services, and basically what we're doing is trying to find ways to make you more efficient, give you back some of that time. Like Jen said, you need to be diligent on your account. I know as business owners, time is valuable, and I don't have time to check my account 3-4 times a day. Well, we have a suite of solutions that can kind of help with that, to automate that a little bit through our technology. Over time, fraud's changed, our technology has changed, and if you've been with us or if you've been with your bank for a while and you're like, oh, I'm good, check in with them, because chances are they've got a new product or service out there that can better help you mitigate those fraud events But our goal is just to make it as easy as possible for you to do your banking wherever you're at. So even if you're on the golf course, having a good time, you're still able to keep an eye on your account. You're working, right? So you're talking about those checks. As you can see up here in the top, we do have an example check for you. We're talking about how they're compromised. All these little bits of information that are on this check are what the fraudster's looking for. You've got your routing number, your account number, your check run, your signature, who you normally make payments to. And it's very easy for somebody to go open up a DBA and change one little thing at the end of this check, and now you're like, oh yeah, I've done business with them before, but really it's going to a fraudster. So as we mentioned, those check payments, they are one of the highest forms of fraud that we're seeing, even as that check volume is going down. $6 per average on that paper check. Again, that's the cost of the check, you issuing it, any of your staff that gets involved in that. It's a huge cost to a business, but that doesn't even take into account once a fraud event occurs, that stop payment fee, the time going into all that research. So that $6 is just the issuance. It's not even taking into consideration all the other things there. With that check, you may have some great internal processes. You know, you keep everything under lock and key, but once you send that check out, you have no control over what happens to it. If it's sitting on somebody's desk and the UPS guy comes in, click, now he's got everything he needs to go commit fraud off that check item. So again, technology makes it very easy for us to do everything, no matter where we're at, but it also makes it easier for those fraudsters. It is a costly process, like Jan mentioned, 24 hours to return that check. So again, if you're not maintaining good records and keep an eye on it, it's very, very easy for those fraudsters to run wild with checks and hard for us to get the funds back at that point in time. ACH, so we talked a little bit about this. It is a bank-to-bank payment. It's the most efficient way that you can send funds in today's day and age. It used to be wires. Everybody's familiar with wires. That's like almost like Wells Fargo back on the carriage days. That's kind of what I equate that to.
Right.
Especially with the cost. So why choosing that ACH over paper checks? That efficiency, the security, and the cost. We've kind of already talked about those things. But again, that security level, I do want to highlight. We build into our platform, and most banks will build into their platform, different levels of security, different levels of access. So if you have a bookkeeper, a CPA that handles things for your office, you can authorize them to draft that payment, but it's not going to leave your bank account until you come back behind and say, yes, this is a legitimate item. Gives you that chance to put two eyes on it, make sure that you're not sending out those fraudulent payments before they leave the bank. In addition to that, we have some additional tools for ACH, I'll talk about in just a minute. They can make sure on the back end, as those are clearing, that those are legitimate items. Digital wires, we have that here at our bank for domestic and international. Like Jen said and Alex said, once those go out, they're gone. They're very, very hard to get back, and that's one of the fraudsters' favorite ways to do it. They know that they can compromise it that way, and then it's very hard for the bank to get the funds back. It is direct, it is immediate. I know a lot of our real estate companies, they prefer wires for closings. But just make sure, pick up the phone, call them, make sure that that is a legitimate item before it leaves. Like they said, that 30-second phone call is well worth it, and well worth any frustration that they might have on their end to make sure that it is a legitimate item and process that through. Positive pay. So this is one of the tools that we offer in regards to fighting fraud, especially check fraud. So essentially how positive pay works is, I guess let me ask this first, does anybody here like coffee?
Yes.
Who likes coffee grounds in their coffee cup?
No.
Exactly. Check positive pay is that coffee filter. It's going to catch all those grounds before they slip through and get into your nice cup and ruin your day. So what that's looking for is a list of items that you've uploaded to us that you've told us are legitimate items. So going back to that check slide, if they take this check and they change that name on there and add, say this was maybe John Smithson or Smith, and they add Smith's son on there, it's going to recognize that as a fraudulent item because it does not match that paying name that you told us you're going to have on that item. So it's going to look at a couple different fields. It looks at the pay, the dollar amount, the account it's drawn off of, the check number, all those kinds of good things. So even if they were to get a hold of your checks and create a fraudulent box of checks, because you can go on any website and order checks nowadays, that's going to look for those items and mitigate that. So again, you're not having to spend your time as a business owner combing through every single item coming through. It's only going to look for those items that don't match that list and kick those out so that you can review those on a daily basis. On top of that, at our bank, we have our team that steps in and helps monitor those items as well. Their officers within the account as well, like Jason, are gonna be reaching out to you if we haven't gotten a decision on those items to make sure that we are only allowing through what's supposed to go through the account. Like Jan mentioned, we do have to have a decision on those items daily, just by processing rules and regulations. So there always will be either a return or a decline happening, but we're gonna do our best to make sure that we are stopping fraud before it occurs. Any questions on positive pay check setup? ACH positive pay. So it works a little bit differently than the checks. With ACHs, like Alex mentioned, you could have a ton of those in a day, and we don't expect you to tell us every single ACH that you're sending out. What we're looking for is kind of a white list of those companies that are allowed to debit your account. That allows for us to make sure that only those items are coming through, and only up to a certain dollar amount. If it goes over that dollar amount, then we're going to start asking some more questions. Hey, this is an exception, we need you to verify. Looks like it's a larger item. Can you make sure that this is legitimate? With that being said, we also offer what we call ACH filters, debit and credit filters. One of the things I've worked with Jason on and some of our customers lately is setting up what we call a landing account. And that's just basically a depository account where all their funds are coming in. We set up an ACH debit filter block on there so that no money can be pulled back out of that account via ACH. It's only going in. And then they can move those funds over to whatever account they want to from there, whether it's a holding or whatever for you. But it's a great tool with those ACH filters to make sure that those items are not being pulled out. It's kind of a all or nothing with the ACH filters. It's either going to decline it or with positive pay, you have the chance to go back and forth and approve those items. So it's a little bit more of a stringent guidelines with those ACH filters.
What is your fee for positive pay?
Our fee at Texas Bank and Trust is $60 per month per account. Like Alex said, sometimes you're like, oh, $60, but how much does a fraud event cost you at that point in time? So it's well worth the time, in my opinion, especially if you're the one that has to go through the bank history every day and comb through that. You look at how many hours you're spending on that versus letting the system do it for you, definitely well worth it at that point. All right. And then in regards to how the bank is protecting you, like Jen and Alex mentioned, we've got multiple departments watching for that suspicious activity. Jan said, though, we see a ton of checks every single day, and there's no way that we can look at every single one. So utilizing those systems like positive pay allow us to be a little bit more efficient and make sure that we're fighting fraud to the best of our ability. Taking a little bit of the workload off of our fraud risk teams on the back end, so that way we can let the technology work for us. Our folks in our support team are fantastic. If you've ever had to deal with them, they will reach out to verify those suspect or new transactions. So creating ACHs and you're curious about it, maybe it's something new to you. If you've delegated some of that task to your team as well, you're like, I don't want them to start paying themselves off of that ACH.
Right.
We've seen those horror stories too. This allows for our team to verify any suspect or new transactions. So if it's a new recipient or something that just seems off, our system is going to flag that, and we're going to reach out and say, hey, was this meant to go out, or was this a mistake? And it gives us that extra layer of security that we can do just to make sure that's taken care of. Like they mentioned, multi-factor authentication. We do have that for our login process. You can require that every single time you log into your online banking account with us if you want to. It takes all of 5 seconds to get that text message, get that code, and put it in. But it takes even less time for a fraudster to get that information into your account. So it's well worth that time spent on that. In addition to that, when we're sending out those payments via ACH, we have it built into our platform where it's going to prompt for that multi-factor authentication to kick in again that you are the one creating that item. So even if a fraudster got your login credentials, as long as they haven't compromised your cell phone, that should stop that process before it kicks off with an addition of fraud. I flew through that in the interest of time.
Good job!
If you have any questions at all, we're happy to take any questions that you might have.
Good job. Anybody got questions? Man, that's so, I mean, my eyes are rolled back. It's amazing. Seriously. Anybody got questions? Let's give them a round of applause. Yes, thank you so much. We appreciate y'all so much. Make sure y'all take down this information if you need to get your screenshot of it. And then also remember, I'll be following up in that email, and there's going to be a direct link with our YouTube. So it's going to be on YouTube and on Facebook Live. Like I said, if we have time, I have a little trivia real quick that we do all the time.